In the incessant search for energy sources, the invention of the steam engine changed the face of the earth. A principal source of power during the British Industrial Revolution in the 18th century, the steam engine opened up a whole new world. It connected people and built economic and social relations cutting across class, caste, language and religion. Indian Railways takes pride in preserving some of the oldest locomotives in the world. EIR 22. The Fairy Queen is a part of the allure of India's heritage that once tied this vast nation together. She has been revived again by Northern Railways to give a peep into an era of past, with a view to promote steam heritage tourism. Every rail enthusiast recalls the lives and times of a bygone era. The lonesome call of a distant steam engine. Shades of memories that linger on have always entranced dreamers, intrigued authors, and inspired filmmakers. Indian Railways is proud to present the fascinating story of the extinction and revival of the oldest running steam locomotive in the entire world. EIR 22. The Fairy Queen. She is a remnant of the past, quaint and teemed in history. Certified by Guinness Book of World Records as the world's oldest working steam locomotive. One would think that a train so old would have withered, gone to pieces and died a natural death by now. It could have. But the Fairy Queen has spirit. The exceptional care taken by Indian Railways has retained this precious 163-year-old queen. She was born in 1855 in faraway London, built by Kitson, Thomson and Hewitson at Leeds. She was brought from England to Calcutta, now current-day Kolkata, in 1855 by sea. On arrival, she operated without a name, initially to haul mail trains in West Bengal, operating between Howrah and Raniganj. During the 1857 struggle for independence, she was converted into a troop train. And then at age 40 in 1895, she was finally christened Fairy Queen. She was then consigned to line construction duty in Bihar. She was pulled out from active duty in 1908 and then placed on a pedestal in front of Howrah station in 1909. There she languished till 1942. She was shifted to another pedestal at Railway School of Transportation at Chandosi, now a zonal training school. That is where she stood in stoic silence. Newer trains with better technology had arrived. She was shifted to the National Rail Museum in Delhi in 1972, where she unwillingly relinquished and sighed, missing her good old days as visitors gazed at her royal personage with awe. She thought she would be just another thing of beauty in the museum forever, until a bright young railwayman, Mr. Ashwani Lohani, a man with vision to prove to the world that things can change if the right efforts and pain is put in with faith. He rediscovered her once again, saw her intrinsic value and decided to bring Fairy Queen back to life. Mr. Lohani consulted T.R. Raghunandan, another steam enthusiast, who provided him the content for the cosmetic restoration. The turnaround man, as he's famously called, along with his enthusiastic team, brought her back to her original glory. In 1997, the craftsman did major rebuilding on her. She was then brought to her new home, the Steam Loco Shed at Rewari in Haryana. The world's oldest locomotive was brought back on Indian track. She returned to commercial service between Delhi and Alwar in Rajasthan, with a stopover at Sariska Tiger Reserve. Fairy Queen is currently hauling steam express train running between Delhi Cant to Rewari on every second Saturday from October to April. The engineers worked on her night and day at the Rewari shed. With one last polish and a tug at her horn, the Fairy Queen was all spruced up to go to a ball. She came out of her reverie and hooted with a joy. The 69th Republic Day, a day of pride for every Indian, a day to rejoice and celebrate. This was a magnificent new birth. 26th of January 2018. It is an important day in the history of rail heritage. Fairy Queen was excited and a little shy too. She had heard of all the preparations going on in Northern Railways to present her beauty to the world. The oldest steam locomotive train was running again. From New Delhi to Rewari through Old Delhi, pulling the Ganarajya Express on a journey through times. There was excitement in the air. Balloons and flowers and garlands on the New Delhi station. All dressed up for the grand send-off. There was a sense of awe in all eyes. Gazing at the Iron Lady, she was in steam again, taking her first mighty step. The Honourable Minister of State, Mr. Manoj Sinha, also remembered his childhood when he too loved travelling by train and said,
स्वाभाविक रूप से बचपन में जब हम ट्रेन में चलते थे उस समय स्टीम इंजन ही हुआ करता था। दोनों तरह की यादें हैं। तो ट्रेन में बैठने का अपना आनंद था और कुछ कठिनाइयाँ भी थी और मुझे लगता है कि ऐसे लोग हैं इस हिंदुस्तान में जो अभी भी स्टीम इंजन वाली ट्रेन पर चलना चाहते हैं। तो एक हेरिटेज वैल्यू भी है और पर्यटन को थोड़ा बढ़ावा भी देगी और बाकी की जो हमारी गाड़ियाँ हैं मुझे लगता है कि उनको प्रमोट करने में थोड़ी सहायता करेगी और हमें भी इससे गर्व की अनुभूति होती है कि हमारे पिता हमारे दादा इस पर कभी चले थे। तो मुझे लगता है ऐसी चीज़ों को संजो करके रखना ये हमारे समाज की और राष्ट्र की जिम्मेदारी है जिस काम को उत्तर रेलवे कर रहा है।
Many she wanted to be photographed with, and many took selfies. There were a host of important people who were to take this momentous journey aboard the Fairy Queen. She recognized a few faces. Was that not Mark Tully, the writer who had travelled to Darjeeling as a young boy? Ah, that Sardarji seems to be Sardar Amar Singh, an old locomotive driver. Oh, and that's the other Minister of State of Railways too. And is that not the Chairman of Indian Railways? Mr. Vishwesh Chaubey, General Manager of Northern Railway. And there were so many important railway officers and railwaymen. Mr. Vishwesh Chaubey, General Manager of Northern Railway, though a man of few words.
ये फेरी क्वीन 1855 से 1909 तक ये सर्विस में रहा और अब इसको फिर से दोबारा ग्लोरी में लाया गया। 1979 में इसको नेशनल रेल म्यूजियम में दिल्ली में रखा गया। आज पहली बार 69th रिपब्लिक डे में इसका एक स्पेशल कम्युनिटी रन किया जा रहा है।
The Fairy Queen glanced back at her sparkling saloons and wondered. She had a newly furnished 60-seater air-conditioned coach with a large glass window to get a glimpse of the locomotive and the outside world.
Well, I can remember lots of occasions on locomotives. I can remember travelling for a short distance on the footplate of the Fairy Queen with my friend Adrian Shooter. I can remember as a young boy going up to Darjeeling to go to school and how we used to jump off the train. Well, all I would like to conclude with is to say that this is a wonderful locomotive. I think all the efforts which have gone into preserving steam heritage in this country should be encouraged by everyone because it is a wonderful heritage. And I think to see a locomotive as old as the Fairy Queen in such beautiful, pristine condition is really a sight for sore eyes.
The Fairy Queen toots one last time and puffs up with a coach load of important guests on this special trip as the Ganarajya Express between New Delhi and Old Delhi railway station rolls. She rumbles along from New Delhi with Lachan's stamp to the ancient city of Delhi 6 with its fascinating history of kings and dynasties to finally end its journey at Rewari, a small and old agrarian town. She halts at Old Delhi railway station. The erstwhile Shahjahanabad, the walled city, the romance of the bazaar of the city can be experienced in and around Delhi railway station. It furnishes a fine example of secularism which distinguishes from bazaar to the historic buildings. The station was built in 1864 by British Indian government in old colonial style when trains from Howrah, Calcutta started operating up to Delhi. Here, 20th century rubs shoulders with a bygone era. The excitement builds up. The Fairy Queen smiles as she hears her name more than once amid the chatter on board. The words of the Honourable Minister, Mr. Rajen Gohain.
आज हम गर्व से बोल सकते हैं अपना 162 साल पुराना एक इंजन को ऑपरेशनल करके उससे हम आज ये गणराज्य दिवस का दिन में हम एक ट्रेन चलाया हूँ, तो ये बड़ी गौरव की बात है। इंडियन रेलवे का जो भी हेरिटेज प्रॉपर्टी जो भी है उसको हमें पूरा तरह से प्रिजर्व करने के लिए कोशिश किए हैं। उसके लिए जगह जगह म्यूजियम भी है, उसके लिए जो भी हेरिटेज लाइन है उसको भी मेंटेन कर रहा हूँ।
And even as the proud engine driver beamed at Fairy Queen, the chairman Railway Board, Mr. Ashwini Lohani, explained the immense contribution of steam locomotives to development of India.
जो स्टीम इंजन की जो सीटी होती है बहुत ही एक अजीब सी श्रिल किस्म की सीटी होती है जो बहुत ही मधुर भी होती है और लोगों का जो ध्यान आकर्षण करती है। और ये मुझे ले जाती है, जब मैं इसकी सीटी सुनता हूँ तो ये मुझे ले जाती है जब मैं 5-6 साल का हुआ करता था, 1964-65 में ले जाती है। तो जब कानपुर में जब WP स्टीम इंजन आया करता तो मैं मेरे फादर मुझे ले जाया करते थे वहाँ पे, वो स्टीम इंजन के फुट प्लेट पे चढ़ा देते थे, तो मैं सीटी बजाता था, मुझे वही दिन याद आ जाते हैं। स्टीम इंजन का बहुत लोगों की ज़िंदगी से ताल्लुक़ है, बहुत लोग कनेक्टेड फील करते हैं स्टीम इंजन से, क्योंकि स्टीम इंजन की एक अपनी पर्सनैलिटी है। इसके अंदर फायर है, फायर हैज़ ऑलवेज बीन वेरी फैसिनेटिंग, इट्स नॉट रियल फायर, और इंजन में वो फायर आपको नहीं दिखती। इसके सब पार्ट्स आपको दिखाई पड़ते हैं, बहुत ही सरल है, साइकिल की तरह बहुत ही सरल इसका मैकेनिज्म है। और अब ये मानिए कि खाली स्टीम इंजन को ही शी बोला जाता है, ओनली स्टीम इंजन इज द लेडी। डीजल और इलेक्ट्रिक इंजन को इट बोलते हैं, इट ऑब्जेक्ट के रूप में लिया जाता है। तो स्टीम लोकोमोटिव्स गेव बर्थ टू द रेलवे, दैट इज व्हाई इट्स वेरी स्पेशल। स्टीम इंजन्स गेव अ फिलिप टू द इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन ऑफ द 17th-18th सेंचुरी। इट गेव अ फिलिप, जितना इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन आप देख रहे हैं उसके रूट पे, उसके बेस पे स्टीम इंजन है। बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ है, इसको हम खोने नहीं दे सकते, ये खो नहीं सकते, इसको रहना पड़ेगा, लिमिटेड तादाद में रहना पड़ेगा और हम लोग के दिलों में रहना पड़ेगा।
Mr. Arun Arora, Principal Chief Mechanical Engineer, plans for the fairy tale-like tour of Fairy Queen.
The lesson of the day is that we need to preserve our heritage and also encourage the display of this heritage in a prideful manner, and this is what Northern Railway is planning in the times to come. For example, planning the steam loco hauled palace on wheels train between Delhi Kent and Rewari, planning a ring railway steam heritage run like the run which is organized in the developed economies. For example, Milan, there is a tram which takes the tourists throughout the Milan and serve them with delicious food during the travel. A similar thing is being planned with the steam locomotive and shall trigger the steam heritage blooming over the time.
The CPRO, Mr. Nitin Chaudhary, responsible for most of the pomp and show on this momentous day.
It gives us immense happiness, and it is a matter of great pride for us today that we are running the commemorative run of the 69 Ganarajya Express, hauled by the steam locomotive, the legendary Fairy Queen. And what makes it so special and so important is the fact that the locomotive, the Fairy Queen, was not working, not in service. It's an 1855-year-old vintage locomotive. And our staff, our steam enthusiasts, our people from the workshop repaired the whole locomotive piece by piece, part by part. They fabricated each component with their own hands, applied all their knowledge and their skills to restore this locomotive from a completely standing state. And here we see it today, the way it is going to chug and haul the steam locomotive train and going ahead with that nostalgic steam whistle that you can hear and you can relate to so beautifully.
Fairy Queen was delighted to be the world's oldest working locomotive, a part of the cultural heritage of India. She was proud to be a contributing member of Indian Railways with a workforce of 1.3 million, the single largest employer in the world, the second largest railway system in the world, covering 65,000 kilometers of rail tracks laid across around 8,000 stations.
मेरा नाम रविंद्र कुमार है। मैं लोको पायलट गुड्स के पद पर कार्यरत हूँ। हमें बड़ी गर्व महसूस होता है कि हम उस भारतीय रेल का एक हिस्सा है जिसके पास एक अद्वितीय अद्भुत फेरी क्वीन इंजन है।
The Fairy Queen too is finally one of the 19,000 trains traveling across the length and breadth of India every day.
उत्तर रेलवे ने एक सराहनीय प्रयास किया है और मुझे लगता है कि ये पड़ाव है, अंतिम यात्रा नहीं है। इस तरह के और भी प्रयास उत्तर रेलवे को करने होंगे और पर्यटन की दृष्टि से एक अच्छा रोड मैप रेलवे बना रहा है, उसमें उत्तर रेलवे की एक महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका है। तो भारतीय रेल की एक और भी विशेषता है कि विविधता में एकता भी प्रदर्शित करती है और रूप, रंग, जाति, नस्ल, भेद इन सब की परवाह किए बगैर देश के हर नागरिक को वो अपने गंतव्य तक पहुंचाने में अपना योगदान करती है और मैं मानता हूं कि ये इस देश की अमूल्य धरोहर है।
How true! That is indeed the motto that drives Indian Railways, to serve all with respect, dignity and without fear or favor. Jai Hind!